Welcome back to the Delaware Way. We continue our conversation now with new police chief in Wilmington, Robert Tracy. You come here during a crime wave like we haven't seen in a long time, and that's saying something because just a few years ago, Newsweek called it Murder Town, USA. But we're on a pace to break the shooting record and the murder record. What is going on?
It's really about group violence. It could be gang violence or group violence, how we call it. But the way you address it is first to have the accountability in your department. How are you deploying your people the most efficient manner as possible, working with the community, making sure that we have trust with the community, and that starts with making sure we have the same officers on the same beats or districts every single day, and then layering some of these policing strategies on top of our accountability systems that actually I'm bringing into Wilmington, that was very successful in Chicago, and as we know, the successes that New York has. I've had the great fortune of being in NYPD from 1984 to 1994, and a man named Bill Bratton came to the NYPD, showed us a different way of doing policing, and New York has sustained that from 1994 until now, and it has the lowest murders and shootings and over a 90% reduction in all crimes, and the city is actually prospering because of that. My time in Chicago, we brought the same type of strategies. In Chicago, we were able to, in a very short time, reduce murders and shootings to 50-year lows in Chicago. And then sometimes the media said, well, the population's lower, that's why your numbers are lower. So we did it per capita. So we had the lowest murders and shootings in over 50 years. But then when we did it by per capita, the news media was right, we were off. It was the lowest in 49 years when we did it by capita. So we made that correction. And then we reduced overall crime by 40% because it's just not murders and shootings that affect people. It's quality of life issues. I've gone to many a meeting in my last 30 years, and sometimes it's not really about the murders or shootings, it's about some of the nuisance crimes that have happened, and we have to address it all.
You would try to identify people who could be either criminals or victims of crime, and not only them, but their associates, because they were also at risk. Could you describe that?
There's almost three theories. First you have to identify who these individuals are, because it's called 2 degrees of association, and Dr. Andrew Papachristos from Yale actually has written a lot of books and has strategies on how to identify these individuals. And these individuals, in every city, you could take any city, and it's a very, very small percentage of people that are committing most of the violent crime, and their associates. And so when you look at these individuals and you look at group violence, where they're going back and forth with each other, and you address them, not only telling them to stop the violence, but you have the moral voice of the community speaking with them, and then you have social services that you give them choices, it actually has a profound effect on reducing crime, because you're actually not so much deploying for geographical areas, but people move around. You're actually identifying the individuals where you're giving them choices to get out of this. I'm actually implementing, because I'm building a very good base, because this department is now, I'm almost like a new offensive coordinator coming into a football team, or a defensive coordinator. It's very complicated, and I want to make sure I got a good base before I layer these strategies, because I want to build for the long term and have the same successes that New York and LA has seen. And Chicago had seen those successes, but they abandoned those strategies, and we see what's happening in Chicago right now.
So this is a long-term strategy, but we have a short-term problem.
Right.
How do you deal with the short-term while you're implementing this long-term strategy?
So you don't wait and say, hey, give me some time to implement this overall strategy. You're implementing pieces as we go. When I talk about after every shooting, I worry about the retaliatory shooting, where when the victim gets shot, who is the person that's going to retaliate? His associates, because they know who shot their friend. And we make sure we run the victim's name, we make sure we run who the associates are, and then we make sure that this is the intelligence information on top of deployment resources that our officers have, that these are possibly going to be people who are going to retaliate. And we have interdicted and made arrests very quickly. I have some success stories, I really can't go into it now, where our officers have made arrests with people with guns that were going to retaliate. So yes, we do have an issue here. We do got to get our arms around it. But the plan I'm putting in place, I'm not waiting. I'm putting pieces in immediately and training this police department where they already do a lot of great work, but actually layering some other strategies on top of it.
We'll continue our conversation with Robert Tracy, Chief of Police in Wilmington, when the Delaware Way continues.